Welcome to Two Riders, and today we're doing a gun review of the Remington Model 30. This gun was derived from guns used in World War I. I'm going to give you about 2 minutes of quick background. If you want to skip forward 2 minutes, we'll get into the meat of this particular gun. In 1914, Great Britain declared war on Germany, and they turned out to be woefully short on firearms. They didn't figure that their factories were going to be able to keep up with manufacturing. So they contracted out to the United States, Remington, the Eddystone plant that Remington ran, and Winchester. And from about 1915 to 1916, they produced about 1.2 million guns. And that was done in the Enfield .303 caliber. Once they were caught up, Remington and Winchester had a bunch of parts left. Didn't know what they were going to do exactly, but hey, pretty soon, the U.S. declared war on Germany. That'd be 1917. And in 1917, the U.S. was woefully short of Springfield 1903 rifles, 30-06 caliber. They couldn't keep up. They figured they probably needed as many as another 5 million guns if they sent that many troops to Europe. They started off with about 600,000 of the 1903s. Mostly those went to the United States Marine Corps, some went to the Army. But during World War I, 3 out of 4 rifles being carried in Europe were what was called a Model 1917 in 30-06. And that was basically a P-14 Enfield that had been reworked. The bolt was reworked, the chamber was changed in length, and it was fitted for a 30-06 round. Boom, the war comes to an end in 1918. They have produced, between the 3 manufacturing plants, about 2.2 million rifles that they had shipped out. Amazing. They were putting out as many as 6,000 a day in some days. It was the first widespread use of women workers in gun shops or in gun plants, as a lot of the guys who would have been working there had been drafted and sent off into Europe. So the war ends. These manufacturers have a lot of parts left. Remington says, you know what? We don't have a high pressure rifle that's on the market right now. We've been building these. We built a ton of them in 30-06. We're going to do some changes. So this is a Model 30. There's a few differences between this and a Model 1917 Army. The first thing is that, if you can look here, you can zoom in. Here we go. There used to be a aperture sight here. This is milled out. Originally, the sight that was back here when it was an Army gun was protected by 2 large lumps of steel that were ground down and gotten rid of. It got rid of some of the weight on this gun, and it made it look a little more sporting. This gun, by the way, was rebarreled in the 1960s. If you can see this, at Flaig Ace. Flaig Ace was a gun shop outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. They often converted military guns to custom guns. In the case of this gun, it didn't get a new stock. All it got was a new barrel, and we'll go over that in a little bit, talking about maybe why it happened. This is a modified, sort of a Mauser action. Gun has a couple of lugs on the bolt. Here's your bolt release, and the bolt comes out. Big, heavy nickel steel bolt. Sort of you can hear a dog moaning in the background. She's just down here scratching and rubbing. Goes back in, and when you close the action, that's when it cocks. The English like this a lot. The Americans weren't that fond of it, but the first couple of years, the first 5 years that Remington made this, they made it cocking on close. Basically what it does is lets it allow, it pops open and ejects the cartridge very quickly. If you want, and you squeeze the trigger as you close this, it won't cock. It'll just go ahead and close. A real big, easy to work even with gloves, safety. Very positive safety. When that's on, the bolt's locked and the trigger's locked. When it's off, you can open it up. And again, the one thing about this gun that makes it not a gun you want to shoot all day is that it's got a curved, crescent-shaped steel butt plate. The steel butt plate's been machined here to make it non-slip on clothing. But let me tell you, when this thing goes off, it throws a ton of recoil down this very straight stock right into your rotator cuff. It's not a lot of fun. As you can see, this is a black walnut stock. There's no checkering on the pistol grip. There's no checkering up front. Sort of a schnabel on the fore end and finger grooves here. You've got sling swivels from the factory, extra strengthening through the stock here. And this gun, I weighed it earlier today. It's 8 pounds and 3.5 ounces. Now, if you look, it's a little tough, but there you can see Remington. Remington's marked here, but the model's not marked. It just says Remington trademark. The serial number is in the 2400 range. The Model 30 in this configuration was only made until 1925, and they made 3,000 of them. So that being said, this was probably from about 1923 or 24. Another thing I want to show you, and we'll show you the gun is empty. We're going to cock it, and this has a very typical two-stage military trigger. So you pull the trigger, and when it gets to there, you've taken up the slack, and the gun will go off. This the Flaig Ace story on this. In 1923, Remington came out with non-corrosive primers for their ammunition. This gun was probably built in 23 or 24. Let's make it sit up again. Look nice. Oh, by the way, too, it had a 5-round blind magazine. There's the mag, the bottom of the mag well. And this is also, you can tell this was from the original military leftovers, because that cutout is to put a stripper clip in. Put the clip in, you press the rounds in, you pull the clip out. So this was very likely made just from the excess parts they had as they went along. Back to the corrosive ammo. Remington started introducing non-corrosive ammo, non-corrosive primers in 1923. But who knows how fast ammo that's sitting on the shelf sold. Sometimes it would sell quickly, sometimes it would not. Also, after World War I ended, a lot of guns were put into surplus and sold on the market, and I'm sure that some surplus ammo was sold too, which would have all been corrosive primers. This gun left the factory with a normal 24-inch barrel, and it probably got shot with corrosive ammo and then maybe not cleaned for a while. So somewhere in the 1960s, this gun, the barrel was apparently shot out, or it wasn't grouping well. So this gun was sent up to just outside of Pittsburgh, had a new 23-inch Flaig Ace 30-06 barrel put on it. The first 5 years this gun was on the market, it only came in one flavor, and that was 30-06. After 1926, Remington opened it up to about 6 other calibers, but this is an early one. So this is one of basically 3,000 examples of a civilian Model 30, and but it's not exactly factory straight, because it does have the new barrel. You've got your sight up here instead of back here. The guns were noted for their accuracy by the British when they had them as a pattern 1917 Enfield. They were noted for accuracy by the U.S. Army. And in fact, these things were used as sniper rifles up until and through the Vietnam War. It's rumored that Sergeant York in World War I was using a pattern or a model in 1917 when he shot and captured a whole bunch of German troops single-handedly. But that's kind of the review of this gun today. We're in the month of May right now. My outdoor range that allows large centerfire rifles doesn't open back up till September, so I was unable to do a range test. Come September, October, we'll probably go ahead and throw a scope on here. By the way, the first 5 years, these were not drilled and tapped, and that's why the drilling is right through the Remington name there. This was drilled and tapped after the fact. This used to wear a 3-9, and I'll probably throw a 3-9 back on it and take it to the range. See how it groups. The bore's in excellent condition. This gun hasn't been shot very much since 1964 or 5. I bet it doesn't have 3 boxes of shells in it in that time. Anyway, if you like the video, please hit like. If you're not subscribed, please consider subscribing. And if you've got any comments or questions, go ahead and put them in the comment section. Thanks a lot for tuning in, as always, and we'll see you next time.